Pierson Gibis was playing here. He's talked a couple times. First time Pierson talked here, he was 120 pounds. Didn't know if he was going to see the next day. He was playing baseball one day, back hurt, couldn't play, was a neck kind of kid, and then next thing you know, he fought cancer for the next 2 years. So we brought Pierson to talk to the 2018 class. At that time, we didn't know what kind of Pierson we were going to see the next day. Well, 2 years later, we saw Pierson on his recovery. He was cancer-free, starting to join in at Madison College. He was 140 pounds at that time. Now today, we get Super Pierson is what we call him. But before we go a little any further, before I bring up Pierson, we just got to remember a couple guys, a couple people in the last year that really meant a lot to me, and I'm sure everybody else here. The other night, Super Dave, you guys remember Dave when he was behind the concession, he passed away. And then, with you guys, it's been tough. I know the last year with Roe passing away. So if we could just give them guys a thought, look up and smile, say we love you, anything that we can do. But, it's tough, man, and I have a hard time with it, and I have for the last year. Just we need to remember them. They were special, special people. All right, Pierson, all you, buddy. You need this?
Hello.
Hello, everybody. First off, just want to congratulate everybody. I mean, there's a lot of guys here. It's pretty cool, I know RJ's proud of you. And I feel like it's a bigger class than you usually see. Second off, I want to tell RJ to invest in a podium for when people speak. It usually helps. And I cheat with note cards, so I just want you to know that I'm going to be dropping the note cards on the ground as I go through them. Is it good? You need a better microphone, too. All right. I usually start my speeches with numbers. Numbers have always helped me share my experiences. Numbers and statistics are everything in baseball. Numbers of pitches thrown, strikes, hits, home runs, to name a few. My number today is 1,922 days, and it has nothing to do with baseball. That's 5 years, 3 months, and 4 days. There are days when it feels like a lifetime ago, and there are other days when it feels like yesterday. Most members of the Hitters program have heard my story. You might have an idea of why I'm talking to you today. But the roller coaster ride that I've been on the last few years will top anything you've heard from me before, or at least I hope. My hope is that you will leave here tonight with a new appreciation for the game of baseball, and from today on you will look at baseball and your life a little differently. Let me recap a little. Like all of you, baseball has always been a really big part of my life. My love and passion for the game have dictated the way I've lived. For years, I ate, drank, and slept baseball. I played in the spring league for Hitters my junior year of high school, like RJ said, and later that summer, days before my senior year was scheduled to start, I had intense back pain along with some other problems and ended up in the emergency room. In 2016, my life came to a screeching halt. Here's that number again. 1,922 days ago, I was diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma, a cancer of the muscle, bone, and connective tissue. I had tumors in my pelvis, up my spine, and in my lungs. I was playing baseball 2 weeks before my diagnosis, and we had no clue how sick I was, and it still baffles me to this day. I'm going to make an extremely long story as short as possible. I was really sick for 2 years. I went through chemotherapy and 56 radiation treatments over the course of 72 weeks. Radiation left me horribly burned and really sick. I started as a 180-pound 16-year-old. By the time it was over, I was 18 and weighed less than 120. I was weak, skinny, bald, I'm still bald, and extremely defeated. Good looking, though. But somehow baseball always seemed to lift me up. I spent many nights dreaming about being on the field again. It's all I talked about, and I would have given anything to be back on the field. But I was stuck in a hospital bed. I was tired and in unimaginable pain. Now, I realize that most of you will never experience something, anything near what I've experienced, or hopefully, but I want you to gain some perspective tonight. No one truly realizes how lucky they are until their luck has run out. I took for granted my health, and I was able to go out and play at a high level and compete every day. But I didn't realize how lucky I was until it was all ripped away from me. I appreciate the game of baseball because it's the reason I'm here today. For years, it was my primary focus. It was the number one reason that I wanted to stay alive. I'm a perfectionist, and I didn't want to fail. I was too stubborn to fail, and I wanted to get back on the field. I could barely walk because I was so weak after my treatment plan was finished. But I didn't give up. Instead, I got a trainer just 2 weeks after my final treatment. My parents fought for me to stay alive while I was in the hospital, but I fought just so I could play again. I wanted to overcome this challenge and compete again. Right or wrong, baseball was the only thing on my mind. I felt so cheated of the opportunities that I'd worked so hard for. My brother was playing Division I baseball for Coach D, who spoke before me. He was a successful college student athlete, and my only goal was to be like him and to beat him. Naturally, I wanted to be better than him. I don't know if any of you guys got any older brothers, but it's a dogfight all the time. I wanted to achieve the things he achieved and then achieve more. The only reason I wanted to play college baseball, or wanted to go to college, was to play baseball. My parents don't like to hear that, but sadly it's the truth. One of my favorite jokes is to say that I'm not here to play school. School is important though, so going back to what Coach D said, pay attention in class. My family helped me graduate high school on time. I took my entire senior year online in the hospital. I never wanted to be that kid that got a standing ovation at his graduation, but that was me and that's what I got. Something as simple as a high school diploma had become this amazing achievement to others. And honestly, this was really hard for me. It wasn't the way I wanted recognition. I felt like I was being praised for simply staying alive. I wanted to be a successful baseball player, not a cancer survivor. But that moment was the first time I truly realized that I needed to live in the moment and appreciate the little achievements too. I was almost dead, and I still graduated high school on time. After my senior year, I had to take a gap year to finish my treatment and regain some strength. I was so excited to get on the baseball field again. Once I got back into baseball, I struggled to be satisfied. I wasn't nearly as good as I used to be. My body just didn't always want to do what I wanted it to. I had to and still have to work so hard just to compete every day. Something as simple as swinging a bat or running to first base wasn't easy for me. I was starting all over and it was really hard. My love for baseball always won over my pride. I worked so hard and played my first college baseball season basically just as a rehab year. I just needed to be on the field again. During my second year of baseball at Madison College, I finally made it back to where I needed to be. I was in college, I was fit, I had a girlfriend, and I was finally able to play baseball again. For the first time in years, I was really happy. And then in 2020, COVID hit. Talk about getting hit upside the head again. Not only did my world stop, but the entire world stopped. I was hours from leaving for my spring trip for Arizona. This was my comeback season, and it was the year that was going to determine my baseball future. Seasons were canceled, and I, like many, was left in limbo. Once again, I had to be isolated and quarantined, and it was extremely mentally challenging. After skipping my second year of college baseball because of COVID, I was pretty depressed. I decided to play and finish my education at Carthage College and stay close to home. The world was in disarray, and staying close was the right decision for me. I was happy to just be able to keep playing. I moved into my apartment, started playing fall ball, and was finally living a semi-normal life, even in the midst of the pandemic. My doctor's appointments were getting farther apart, and I finally felt like my life was getting back on track. I was stronger than I had been in years. I was finally ready. When fall ball was coming to an end, I had one more procedure that was scheduled in October of last year. It would be my 25th surgery since my diagnosis. Now, this is the part that no one's heard before. Radiation gave me terrible burns in my esophagus that led to scarring that blocked my ability to swallow solid food. About twice a year, I needed that scar tissue stretched in order to swallow the food. But I'd gotten this procedure about 10 times before, so I wasn't really worried about anything. It was quick and easy, and they sent me on my way, so I went back to school and dove right back into practice the next day. At this point, I was totally unwilling to let my health issues disrupt my training. But after the third day back at practice, I was having some breathing trouble running sprints. I ended up heading home afterwards with a small fever and some respiratory issues. Maybe I had COVID, right? That's not what happened. The next morning, my parents dragged me to the emergency room with a 104-degree fever. I was admitted onto the pediatric floor where I had spent so much of the last few years. I spent 8 days there because of a micro tear in my esophagus from the procedure. I developed a heart condition that was treatable with medication, so after 8 days, I was luckily sent home. Unfortunately, things got a lot worse before they got better. I wasn't improving at home, and one night my mom noticed that my breathing was off. Once again, I was taken back to the hospital, but this time by ambulance. I was out of my mind. They could barely get me out of my bed, much less my house. I was barely even conscious, and honestly, I don't really remember much of that night. I was deprived of oxygen, and later we found out that I had a raging infection in my chest cavity that caused my lungs to collapse. I didn't have active cancer anymore, so I kept wondering what the hell I was doing back in the hospital. I wasn't the nicest patient this time around, and I wanted to leave and didn't care what state I was in. I was giving everyone a really hard time until the ER doctor looked at me and said, "If you go home tonight, you will die." So naturally, I looked at my mom, looked back at the doctor, and said, "All right, fine, you can take me to the hospital." I spent another 12 days in the hospital, mostly in the ICU. I came out with more holes in my body than I had before. I had chest tubes and pigtail drain wounds that were going to take a long time to heal, and I was beaten up pretty bad. Now, I'm a pretty positive person. Ask anybody, and they'll tell you I smile probably a little too much. I'm not really one that gets depressed easily, but this time I really struggled. I'd worked so damn hard to get back to the baseball field, and my doctors basically said I can't play until my heart gets stronger again. In fact, they said that they wanted me sitting, not even walking around. I was 30 pounds weaker, and now these people were telling me that I have to rest for months. I felt so defeated. I've always been able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but this time felt different. I was truly miserable and felt hopeless for the first time in a long time. The point of me telling you my news story isn't for pity. It's really important to me that baseball players appreciate the game. It's not something that should ever be taken for granted. My determination and work ethic are the reasons I'm able to play today. Look at me. After everything I've been through, I'm still playing college baseball. My path has changed. I'm not playing Division I baseball like I always thought I would. And I'm sure as hell not playing pro ball like I dreamed about. But sometimes I forget to just enjoy each moment and appreciate how far I've come. One of my doctors even called me lucky. I had a few choice words for him at the time, but honestly, he was right. About a year and a half ago, a girl on Facebook that I had never heard of friended me. I didn't know her, so I clicked on her page, and it turned out she had Ewing sarcoma, a cancer similar to mine, except this was her third time fighting it. I accepted her request, but regretfully never reached out. I did, however, follow her post and her story, and she reminded me of how lucky I really was. Now, a few weeks ago, I read that she passed away. And it makes me angry. Makes me angry because I don't understand why I'm still here and so many people I've known aren't. I don't understand why a little 8-year-old boy I've grown to be great friends with, why he relapsed and I didn't. Why my 23-year-old friend Justin, he continuously got worse while I got better. But I use this to spread a message of gratitude and personal growth. I don't just work hard for myself anymore. I work hard for the people close to me that can't or couldn't. Whenever I'm tired or feel like giving up, I remember the ones who never even had that chance. I remember being poisoned with chemicals that I could barely even pronounce. And I remember what exhaustion truly feels like. I'm inspired by others that gave everything they had, even though it may not have been enough. I try very hard these days to just appreciate where I am and how far I've come. I always remember there's someone out there that's struggling more than I am. You never know what someone else is going through. You never really know their why. Now today, I want each of you to try to find yours. Do you play for others? Do you play for yourself? Do you play simply because you're capable of doing so? I challenge you to find your why. Find what makes you love this game so much, and realize how lucky you are to be able to chase your dreams. Then chase after those dreams like a bat out of hell until you have nothing left in you. A coach once told me, you never want to be that 30-year-old in the bar saying, I should have been. He said, no matter the outcome, when you're done with your baseball journey, don't have any regrets. Bet on yourself, control what you can control, and if you truly know that you put it all on the line and worked as hard as you possibly could, then you won't regret anything and can find happiness in the outcome no matter what. This is what it means to fall in love with the process. Baseball has taught me how to fight. I fought for my life and won multiple times. My family fought for me. They cheered me on in baseball, and they rallied behind me during the fight of my life. Baseball isn't just a game to me, so respect it, be passionate about it, and work your ass off every day. I'm asking you to appreciate the game more than you ever have before. Be appreciative of your family and your support system. Never stop making and achieving goals. And finally, be grateful for the opportunities that you have earned, as well as the opportunities that have been given to you guys. When you're having a bad day, think of the kids fighting for their lives. Your day really isn't so bad when you put it into perspective. Appreciate your opportunities and you will all win. You will be successful because you will make yourself a success. I am grateful for the people that have stuck by me. I'm grateful for the opportunities to speak about my experiences. I'm grateful for every single day that I'm alive. And I'm happy because I choose to be happy. Baseball helped me get through a terrible time in my life. Think about what baseball means to you and use that to be the absolute best competitor that you can be. And you will succeed not only in baseball, but in life as well. Thank you.